So, hey everyone, this is the next episode of the Ben and Gary Show. We know dentistry, and we've asked you to send in your questions through various social media avenues. And one of our most recent questions was simply, why in the world did you guys become dentists in the first place? So, I guess this is probably maybe the time where I'd say, Gary, what was the reason why you became a dentist?
Well, believe it or not, when I was going to high school, I wanted to go into forestry, become a forest ranger or whatever it was, Smokey the Bear type stuff, and so that was my original plan. And when one of my friends went off to Humboldt State in California, which was the big forestry school, he came back at Christmas and said, you may want to rethink this. I said, well, why is that? He goes, well, if you want to get into a major national park, you either have to wait till someone retires or dies. And not being a patient person, I thought, okay, well, let's change course. And by chance, one of my other high school friends went to an aeronautical school. He became a pilot for American Airlines, but he was at the University of Southern California for a job fair, and they had a booth, and so our plan was to meet for lunch, and actually for after he got done. He had a set time that he had to man the booth. So I went and met him, and he said, the guy that was supposed to replace me didn't show up, so I have to be here for another 2 hours. So come back in 2 hours. So I went to the various booths and ended up going through the dental school at Southern Cal. And one of the senior dental students showed me the school and walked me through all the different departments. And I thought, wow, that's kind of neat stuff. So I went home and found a family friend who was a dentist and shadowed him for a few weeks, and then also went into a dental lab to see what they did, and ended up pursuing dentistry. So took the DATs and finally got into Georgetown and came back east and decided to stay. So here I am. And it's been quite the journey, but it's almost like I fell into it because it wasn't really on my radar, but here I am. So I'm with Ben, and here we are working together and
Doing the Ben and Gary Show.
doing that. Yeah. So, but it was one of those things that just happened, and it worked out. So, and Ben, I'm sure you have an interesting story.
Well, I don't know if it was quite, as interesting and as fortunate maybe as yours was in falling into it that way. I guess I was a bit more of sort of quote unquote born and raised in it. My father was a dentist, and just a little bit of background. His office is in Washington D.C. He went to Howard University Dental School, and then just went up the street maybe a few blocks and put his shingle up and stayed there for 50 years. So in that sense, I grew up with it around me. My father was not really necessarily one that would want to push me directly into something. He wanted to allow me to find my own path. But I guess having grown up around dentistry and the health sciences and physicians, I was exposed to it, at an early age. So knowing that I did well in the sciences in school, I sort of gravitated towards that. And when I was in college at the University of Virginia, I started out as a pre-med, which essentially is a pre-dental sort of track in school. So I was exposed to the same classes that all the physicians, future physicians, were exposed to, and so I was really kind of torn between being a physician or being a dentist. So I did go meet with both individuals. It was easy for me on the dental side. But on the physician's side, I met with a family friend who was a well-known surgeon, and it was actually Dr. LaSalle D. LaFall, a very famous cancer surgeon at Howard University, and he had me meet with him when he was finished with his rounds, which was at 5 a.m. So he did his rounds very, very early. So I'm sitting in his office prior to the crack of dawn, and he's already started his day for a couple of hours by doing his rounds that early. And so, although I had a tremendous amount of respect for what he did, and I loved the ability as a surgeon, to heal someone and to bring them through a journey and have them be better and change their life, that was always a motto of mine, and I've kind of gravitated towards and understood, the gratification and just the skill that it took to get there, and the respect that you get once you have done many of these and garnered the respect of your colleagues. That was intriguing to me, but maybe that sort of also jaded me a little bit towards the physician side, because it felt a little bit like you didn't have control over like what you were doing, and that the hours are going to be outside of what I felt like was going to be a sort of a family-friendly profession. So dentistry was really something that I loved, working with my hands and creating things, and so I saw how that was possible, and also at the same time being able to at times help a patient and sometimes change their life. And so as it was, I also, like you took the DAT and applied to dental school, and I ended up at University of Maryland, the oldest dental school in the world, and not just the oldest, but it was the first dental school in the world.
That's right.
So I have a lot of pride in that sense, and so that was a place that I really enjoyed my tenure there, and then further on as becoming more to this discussion about becoming a dentist, and maybe why did I become a prosthodontist? Well, they were the ones that, to me, were the specialists in cosmetic dentistry, which was, for me, the crux of where I could help a patient, guide them through a period of change that was going to get them to a happier place, and perhaps change their life in the process. And that, again, was very intriguing to me. So why not start with the ones who are recognized by the American Dental Association as the true cosmetic dentists? And we do 3 years after dental school. So it's intense training in a full-on sort of program where you are immersed in the specialty, and so it really allows you to be able to really know how to not only design and plan and actually take a person from one place of being in a dentally compromised position to then being really having the look and the smile and the confidence that they so desired. And so that part really allowed me to, sometimes in one fell swoop or even multiple steps, to be able to allow someone and guide them through that process. And so for me, the end result of having a person being satisfied and sometimes even brought to tears, it really motivates me, and is truly my reward for all the hard work that you do and go through that. So why do I even want to do that? Well, honestly, the reward is at the end, when you get an individual such as the one I actually had that you saw at the end of the day the other day, who, my goodness, her journey as a young individual, as a 17-year-old who is a true fighter, and my goodness, she's had her challenges with leukemia at a very early age, and battled through it. And unfortunately, in the process, that was one of the things that was really debilitating to her, was that the process and the treatment destroyed her teeth.
Yeah, wow.
And
that's amazing.
It's I've never seen anything like in terms of the way these teeth formed, but with the great care of an orthodontist, Dr. Jill Bruno, and periodontist Dr. Majid Mateen, being able to work in co-collaboration with them, then I now have the chance, and just the other day, to be able to change her life. And so in 2 appointments, we rebuilt her with cosmetic veneers. And it's tedious, it's very rewarding, and you do have to manage an individual through this, because it does take some time to do it. But at the end, I mean, the emotion that I was able to witness, that it's just undescribable or indescribable, in that how she reacted, and how her mother reacted, and then finding out when she came back for me to double check on everything, how everyone else in her family reacted to her. And it is a complete dramatic change that was so rewarding to me. And I mean, that was more than just a reward. It was a life-changing experience for me.
She really went through a lot of hardship, and socially it would have been really very difficult to handle.
Yeah, when you get to high school,
Oh
I mean,
my
you know
gosh,
how it
it's
goes.
brutal.
It's brutal anyway if everything
Yeah.
is in working order, and hers,
Right. Oh my
really
gosh.
was not.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine the effect that would have had on her. So I'm anxious to be able to talk with her, and as I've been able to see her sort of open
Right.
up in this process,
Right.
I'm anxious to listen to a little bit more of her story.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I look forward to sharing. We'll have to do another show just like.
I think
Just
that
on her.
we'd love to be able to have her
Right.
as a guest, and so
Yeah.
once we find out that she's ready to present to everybody here on the Gary and Ben show, or excuse me, Ben and Gary show,
On the Gary Show. Yeah.
works both ways too.
Yeah,
Just a
that's
different
right.
flavor, I think,
Right.
there if you do it that way.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to having her as a guest,
Yeah.
and that's really it from us at this point in time.
That would be great, though, and so we look forward to getting some more questions. To be able to do what we do is obviously rewarding, as Ben has stated, and it's a unique profession in that there's a lot of different things that we can do to help patients. We sometimes we go to underserved areas and we help in that way, and so it's a multifaceted in what the opportunities are for us to give back to the community. But we just enjoy being here and doing what we do, and enjoy giving you or presenting these shows to you. So please send us your questions, and that wraps up another episode of the Ben and Gary Show. So you guys have a great weekend.
Awesome, and he brings up a great point, because I believe that in terms of underserved areas, we have our man here who has gone to far off lands to be able to help many people who never seen a dentist ever. So another time we'll talk about his mission trips,
Right.
which I think are awesome and also equally as rewarding. So here we are at another episode of the Ben and Gary Show. We know dentistry. Send us your questions. We're looking forward to hearing
All
from
right.
you. Take care.
Bye now.